You know, Bobby Keys was a friend of mine, and so I went down to see, he wanted me to meet the Stones, so he took me down to where they were playing at Bridgestone, and I went down there for sound check, and so he took me and introduced me to the wardrobe people, all the people. You know, there's 250 people that work with the Stones on tour, and they've got the stage built up, and I've been wanting to talk to his tech, Keith's tech, for a long time because I had serial number 8. And I heard he collected the prototypes from 1 to 12, but he didn't have 8 and 9. So he takes me underneath the stage, Bobby does, and introduces me to everybody down there, and shows me his little horn section where his horns are set up. And, you know, everybody got their little, it's like another stage down below where everything's set up to do stuff. He introduced me to Pierre Baudepart, I think his name is. Bobby said, come on, they're going to have a rehearsal in here. I want you to come in here and meet the band, the whole band, you know. So he said, Mick's not going to be in here, but Keith's in here. We're going over the songs Keith's going to do. So I go in there. He takes me in this room. It's all curtained up, kind of a, you know, like a big rehearsal room. It's all curtains everywhere, and all these ice chests in there lined up, and a couple of cool old guitars that Keith's got, and a couple of cool little champ amps that he and Ron can play through, you know. And so Bobby goes in there and he goes, here's my buddy Bill Kenner. This is Keith Richards. I wanted y'all to meet. See y'all later. And just turned around and walked off. I go, wow. I go, what do you say to Keith Richards? And he goes, I don't know. Let's get drunk. And I went, great. What you got? He said, we got everything. What do you want? So he starts walking around like he's like one of the models on Price is Right, flipping up all these coolers, you know. We got this, we got walking backwards. We got this, we got this, we got that. What do you want? And I said, how about a shot of tequila? No, how about some whiskey? I'm just trying to go with what he liked. How about some whiskey and some Corona? All right, sounds good to me. Well, he gets out the whiskey, and we're just having, you know, talking. Here comes all the band filtering in. They go through a couple of songs, and then this guy comes into me, waves me over to the door, and I go over there. He said, come out here, I need to talk to you. So I go out there, and he goes, look, I know you're really good friends with Bobby, and now you've been with the family, but nobody usually goes in here for these rehearsals, but this is just for the family on, if you don't mind. And I went, no, man, I get it. I didn't really want to go in there to begin with. Bobby just wanted me to meet Keith, and then he left. And so anyway, so I said, first of all, I told Keith, I said, let's talk about old amps. I know you into old amps. He said, oh, man, I don't want to talk about old amps. Go talk to Pierre about that stuff. So, okay. So Bobby takes me down there to meet Pierre, and I started trying to talk to him about old amps, and he just kind of blows me off. Like he just thought I was a nerd kind of guy or something, you know. And I'm getting the time frame weird because I hadn't met Keith yet. And so I down there, and Mick was going up the steps to go upstage because he just checks everything out deluxe before the show. And Bobby said, I want you to meet my buddy. This is Bill Kenner. This is Mickey, because I bet he's from Texas. And I said, why you say that? He said, all his buddies are from Texas, you know. So I said, yeah, man, you got that. And that was my introduction to Mick. But, you know, and I met Ron, and he was great. And Charlie Watts was great backstage. They were just really, really friendly. I can't tell you how friendly they were. Just so nice. And I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. So anyway, so I go backstage underneath the stage with Bobby after meeting Keith, and they've had the rehearsal, and Pierre's down there again, and I go, and you can see back, you know, up on stage, I said, Pierre, what amp number is that amp right there? And he goes, which one are you talking about? I said, the one on the end. He says, well, that's number 2. And he said, well, I said, what about the other one? He said, well, walk on stage and point them out to me. So I go in, and I said, what's this amp cover? What's this number right here? And he goes, that's 5. And I remember the grill cloths were kind of a wheat straw looking grill cloth, which my number 8 had. So I go back down stage. He said, why you want to know these serial numbers? I said, because I want to know if they look like mine. I said, I understand y'all collect the prototypes, you know, 1 to 12, but you don't have 8 and 9. And I had 8. He said, well, we got 9. We found out, where is 8? And I said, well, I sold it to a buddy of mine, Bucky Baxter. And I sold it to him, and that's when he was playing with Bob Dylan. And I said, but that's who's got it now. He said, okay, well, we'll find it. I said, that's all I can tell you, because I think he sold it since then. So you'll have to go find Bucky Baxter, if he's still alive, and see who he sold it to. But they tracked it down, I heard, and they got it. But he said, man, you're into these things, ain't you? I said, yeah, I've been waiting years to talk to you, and you're just blowing me off. I mean, He said, you want to say something? I said, yeah. He said, well, look at this. And he had all these anvil cases back there, and he started opening up a lid, and every one of them had 2 Tweed, high-watt Fender Twins in them. He said, we carry 15 on the road. He said, and he had them all. He said, oh, every one of these has got 2 of them in there. And he said, if one of them goes out on stage, he said, I get it off in the middle of the show, put it in the case, ship it off that night. We get it back the next night. We have our technician somewhere that they'll overnight it to, and he'll fix it. And he said, so we've always got these amps, and we had a satellite stage. We've got 2 more out there, one that Keith plays through, and one that Ron plays through, I think. Ron didn't play. He's got other amps. I mean, there were Fender amps and Marshalls and stuff, but anyway, that's how he got it, was me telling him where to go find it, starting with the, boardwalk, go here. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'd sold it to Bucky Baxter for some Christmas money. Okay. And I wish I had never sold that amp. My God, that was the best amp I ever had. And that's why he collects them and plays through them on stage. I mean, you got to crank it up to hear it really good, but man, it's just.
Do you remember where you got it from?
Yeah, I got it from a guitar store, Hughley's Music, downtown Nashville, for $200. And it had black Naugahyde over it. But I remember something about Tweed, and because Cale's basement he played through didn't have any Tweed. That's why I think he had a 60, 59 or 60, but I'll tell you a story about that too. But so I looked under it, and somebody covered with black Naugahyde, and I peeled up underneath there, and the Tweed was still under there. So I stripped all the black Naugahyde off, and the Tweed was like brand new. It's like they used to do when the black Fenders came out, all the Tweed stuff, our brown stuff, they wanted to look black, to look new. So they recovered it. Well, some of them, they took the Tweed off and just covered it, but whoever did this did that. But there was also a 410 Bassman when I bought it, and it was $200. They were down there together, and that's what Cale liked, was a 410 Bassman, but it was Bill Raffensperger's amp that he let Cale have to go on the road and record with, and that was just that's the deal. I mean, it was great sounding.